When it came to deciding on another LEGO set to buy for a follow-up to the vintage steam locomotive video, it was a toss-up between the Classic Beach Tram, set number 60506, and the Harbour Freight Train, set number 60509. In the end, I went with the tram set primarily because it was more affordable. I might still look at the Harbour Freight Train at some point, but I'm not sure at the moment. For reference, the Classic Beach Tram was released on the 1st of June 2026, and I bought her at the warehouse, that's effectively New Zealand's equivalent of Walmart, for $120. Considering the fact that the tram set has 693 pieces, over 100 more than the vintage steam locomotive, I question why the steamer is the more expensive of the two. And before I forget, here's the minifigure selection included with set 60506. You get a female tram driver, a lady selling ice cream, two youngsters that look like they're ready for a day at the beach, and lastly, an old codger who's clearly meant to be a fisherman. Thinking back to the tram driver figure, it's worth mentioning that, historically, a tram driver was referred to as a motorman. That term doesn't really work these days, since female tram drivers are a common enough sight. To be clear, I am not saying that's a bad thing. As for the LEGO tram herself, and like other rail vehicles in the LEGO City range, she doesn't appear to be based on any specific real-life design, just the generic aesthetic of a vintage tram. However, the combination design, with only one half enclosed, does remind me of a specific tram in real life. The tram in question is Wellington Combination number 17. This thing was originally built in 1904 as a four-wheeler, then rebuilt as a combination in 1911. She is preserved at the Wellington Tramway Museum. Personally, I think the LEGO tram looks a little weird without a trolley pole or pantograph as standard. Now I know that there are some electric trams out there in the real world that run without a pantograph or trolley pole for all or parts of their route, looking at UQ Line of Detroit, but I'm so used to seeing trams, such as Brisbane 236 for example, running under the wires that the thought of a tram running without any overhead wires kind of screws with my mind. On another personal note, the LEGO set's theme of a tram line terminating at the beach kind of reminds me of the tram route 109 over in Melbourne, Australia. For the final part of its route at the western end, the 109 runs along the former railway line to Port Melbourne, which was converted to light rail in 1987. And although the terminus is not right there by the sand like it is in the LEGO set, it's still pretty close, to the point where you could easily catch the tram if you want to go to the beach. Another thing I noticed on the new LEGO tram is the fact that she's only a four-wheeler. as opposed to a longer tram with bogies, such as Melbourne's famous W2 class. The Lego tram's wheel arrangement puts me in mind of yet another real-life tram, namely ex-Melbourne X1 class number 466, despite seating in the little X1 being fully enclosed, not to mention the Lego tram having a longer wheelbase. As for any other noteworthy details in the Lego tram set, I like the included selection of animal figures, the use of little transparent pieces to represent small waves on the water, and that little set of binoculars on one corner of the pier. Something I didn't initially notice until I saw the finished tram in person was the presence of a driver's position at only one end. I find this a little bizarre, since I'm so used to seeing bidirectional trams with controls at both ends. As far as I know, we don't have any unidirectional trams in New Zealand. All things considered, I'm not really sure what to make of the LEGO City Classic Beach Tram set. It could be useful if you're building a big city diorama that features both a beach and a tram line, but I'm not sure if I'd recommend the beach tram for any other situation, especially since there isn't much track included in the set as standard. Don't get me wrong, the tram herself looks pretty good overall. Certainly an improvement over the downtown tram of 2024, at least in my opinion. But I can't help thinking that I don't have much value for money in this set. Dare say some other people who have this set might disagree with me, in which case I say, so be it. In my opinion, this set could have been improved by the addition of a small building or two to represent the little huts or ice cream kiosks that one might find at a beach, instead of just including a little push-along ice cream cart. Come to think of it, I reckon it would have been awesome had the LEGO made the tram a double-decker, similar to Christchurch number 26. Or perhaps better yet, modelled a steam tram engine and at least one trailer coach for her to pull. In any case, and if you've got any of your own thoughts on set 60506 as it stands now, feel free to leave them in the comments, but please be civil and respect each other's opinions. I'll leave it up to the viewers to decide whether or not they pick up the Classic Beach Tram for themselves.